Good morning, Facebook fam. It's your girl Kimiko. I have not done a live in a minute, but this morning I was compelled to get on Facebook Live and just chat for a little bit, right? So if you looked at the subject line, I talked about that happiness is not a goal, but it's a natural result of living an authentic life in which you love and accept all parts of you. And so on my self-love journey, I have allowed myself to do a lot of things. And most people that I've talked to in private, some publicly, ask me about my journey. And then now that my kids are also going through their self-love journey, I thought it would be befitting for me to have this conversation this morning. Henceforth, why I tagged them on my Facebook Live. Because one thing I encourage everybody is that we all need to practice self-love. We all need to understand the importance of it. It's probably not a topic that we hear and or, I guess find ourselves indulging in on a consistent basis. But I often tell people sometimes I wish there are some things I would have learned early on in life versus later on in life that will probably have charted my course a little bit different. But I will tell you that when it comes to self-love, is understanding that one thing people strive all the time is which you hear it a lot too, is that I want to be happy, right? But the thing is, happiness, we have to understand, what does happiness mean to you as a person, as an individual? Everybody define it totally different. And that's okay, because I tell people it's your personal journey. Everybody have their own journey that they have to strive to get to. So I often tell people it's not a goal. It's not something that we set on our short-term or long-term goals that we want to be happy. It's really not a goal. It's more of something that we naturally live, something that we project day in and day out, because there are times in our lives when you might not feel happy in that moment, but does that mean you're not happy? I would probably beg to say that's not the case, but it's something that we do all the time. And in order to truly be happy, you have to understand yourself. You have to be aware of yourself, the things that help you think the way you do, how you operate. And then as you embrace all of those different things, it'll assist you in understanding that happiness is truly not a goal. It's allowing me to accept all parts of who I am through self-awareness and just spending that time understanding what you think, what you feel as you move through life. Because the person you are today is not the person you used to be, and it's definitely not the person you're going to be in the future. So make sure that when we understanding, it's a continuous progression. It's something we work at all the time. I often tell people that it's better sometimes that we learn to sit in our emotions, because our emotions change, but it's through those feelings that we have will allow us to heal. So a lot of times there's a lot of things that you may not feel. I'm not a broken person. Nothing about me is broken. We hear it all the time. We become so defensive when people point out something that might not be so great to us in our lives, or it doesn't generate a great feeling for us. But know that that's okay, because it takes you to go through all of that to truly heal and come to a place to really be able to settle in who you are and your journey to happiness, which comes through self-love, self-awareness, self-reflection. It's an internal process. It's not an external process. So again, I tell people sometimes I've learned in my journey is to sit in my emotions and not so much criticize the emotion, more from a place of curiosity of, why am I feeling the way I feel? What triggered that? What generated that emotion, right? So when I begin to spend time breaking those things down and I'm being honest with myself, was it a thought that I had? Was it something that I experienced that made me feel that way? Or like we have deja vu moments, right? So all of those things that we thought we were healed from, or we just kind of swept under the rug and we really didn't want to deal with them. Sometimes we have to pull back the rug, unsweep all of that stuff, and really deal with those things for us to truly, truly be happy. And I would tell people that my self-love journey has truly allowed me to have some of those moments. Some of that, they don't feel good all the time. I will be the first to tell you all that they don't always feel good. But as the old folks say, it may not feel good to you, but it's good for you. So it's another thing when we look at that. And I tell people, and one of the times when we feel like we're not as loved or we're not as appreciated, in those feelings and in all of those emotions, really is when you should love yourself the most, because nobody's going to really be able to love you and love you through that place better than yourself. So a lot of times I often tell people, make sure that you are practicing that on a continuous basis. Again, like I said, always asking yourself, what do you need? And when you ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? What is it I need in this season of my life? Don't just ask the question, but give it to yourself. You know, I tell people all the time, understanding your love language, understand what makes you feel love and what, you know, allows you to be appreciated. Know what those things are. So when you feeling like you're lacking something, today I don't feel like I'm appreciated enough, or today I may not feel up and I may not feel like I'm completely loved in my entire self, whatever it is, then it's actually yourself, what do I do? How do I fix that about myself? And be willing to give it to yourself first. Don't look for it from external perspectives, because some people won't deliver. And when people don't deliver, what happens? We're disappointed, we're let down. Now we've opened up a whole new set of emotions when we could have just gave ourselves what we needed anyway. And that's so important. I often tell people, most people don't face their deepest pains, and it's because we've never been taught how. I tell people all the time, there are a lot of things that practically we don't get taught in our youth. And sad to say that you may have to learn a lot of it on your own through your own experiences. So I tell people, and I love the church. Everybody know I love God and I love the church. But at the end of the day, when I was honest with myself, I had to ask myself, I went to Sunday school, I went to all these conferences, I went through all these church services, and yes, you taught me the word, but did you always teach me practical living? I tell people all that. We talk about staying married, being successful, but when did you teach me how to make that marriage work? Or when the hard time came, what I'm supposed to do? Practical living. Yes, you know, we need to have that spiritual balance, and I'm all for all of that. I understand I would not be who I am today without God and his grace and his mercy. I am definitely a living product of all of those things. But then I had to stop spiritualizing everything and apply practical living with the spiritual portion of my life. And it's not until I was able to combine them I was able to be more successful in becoming my whole, true, authentic self, loving all parts of me and not suppressing everything that I'm feeling because of what I have been taught and what I have not been taught. So I had to go back and redevelop some of those things about who I am. So making sure that we're loving that through us. And I tell people, emotional pain with compassion is truly the foundational element of self-love. So it's a lot of things that as we call, suffer in silence, right? There's a lot of things we all have journeyed through this life and experience, and we don't talk about them, or we're very, guarded of them. We don't share them with certain people because we don't want to be judged. We don't want people to see us at our low points. It makes us look weak. We're not as strong, and all of these things, right? But when we look at all of those emotions and we approach it from compassion, a place of compassion first within ourselves, that's truly the fundamental of self-love. Having compassion for who you are, good, bad, and indifferent. I tell people that at the end of the day, how can you bestow compassion on someone else when you won't even give it to yourself? And so that's one thing I've learned, is knowing that it's okay to give myself that compassion, give myself that grace and that mercy. And it's okay to not always be strong, Kimiko. It's okay not to always have it all together. Because sometimes, we feel like we have to live this certain mantle, and we can't let people see that. Some days I don't feel like it. And I had to tell myself, it is okay. It is okay today, Kimiko, if you want to not feel like it and you don't want to show up and deliver today. You can deliver tomorrow, right? Whatever it is. But I had to begin to really give myself that extra compassion so that I could be successful. And I wasn't running around trying to figure it all out all the time by myself. I often tell people, seek to understand your process, your triggers, and why you act the way that you do. That's what love is. Love is understanding your process, your triggers, and why you act the way you do. And not only is it love, it's also self-understanding. And that's what will help you build a relationship with your true self. Know that it's okay. It is really okay. I tell people that has been like my word for 2022. It is okay. It is okay. But I just wanted to come on briefly and just kind of hit a few nuggets this morning. Like I said, I'm just talking with my mini adults, as I call them. And their journeys where they are. Like I said, it's been a blessing to see my 23 and 21-year-old develop into an amazing young man and an amazing young woman. But I also see their struggles. I also see their challenges of today. And so I often try to share with them that it's okay too, but get the resources early on, right? Apply yourself early on, understanding who you are as a person, understanding your journey, your purpose, and know that it is okay to not always have it all together, but know that you should have enough resources, or I would say enough skills in your toolkit to help yourself propel to that next level as life continues to happen. Because as long as we're on this side of heaven, I can assure you life will continue to happen. So it's what we do when life happens at the end of the day. So again, I am an advocate for self-love, self-care, self-awareness, self-reflection. I tell people it is a much, much, much needed part of my day. And I think if we all begin to do that, we'll also understand and we'll see that it's so much more that we can get out of being our best versions of ourselves on a continuous basis. So I would highly encourage all of you who have not considered self-love or a self-fulfilled journey. That is definitely rewarding and it's refreshing in so many ways, and it's never too late because you're only as good today as you were in your planning and in your preparation. So again, like I said, hopefully I've dropped some nuggets this morning to help you along your journey and help you understand that happiness is not a goal. Remember that is something, it's not something we put on our checklist. I'm going to accomplish this. It's a continuous journey as we move in this thing that we call life. Again, like I said, thank you for your time. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your continued friendships throughout my journey. I know I don't get a chance to talk to everybody all the time, but trust me, your messages come at the right time. They never go unnoticed. I often tell people, as much as we pour out, we always need to be poured back into. And so I thank God for all the people who do that for me as well, because you don't have to. And that's one thing I've also learned. People don't have to do anything for you. So when people do, be ever so grateful. And that's one thing I always try to find myself postured in a place of gratefulness. So again, as I often tell you all, pray for me as I pray for you. And together we are going to watch God continue to do some great and mighty things in our lives. And I look forward to probably talking on Facebook Live a little bit more now that I'm back in the States and resettled. And on to the next chapter of my life. Again, like I said, you guys be blessed and have an amazing Monday.